6 American soldiers killed on their own base. 16 US military installations stuck by the Iranians. Advanced military radars destroyed by Iranian missiles. The list goes on. But the Pentagon is not releasing these numbers to their own Congress. What happened in the Gulf region is not just a military story. It's a story of power. It's a story of credibility. It's a story of the changing world order. Let's try to break it down today. To understand what happened in the Gulf conflict, we need a short timeline of the events. For decades, the United States of America has maintained a massive military presence across the Persian Gulf. US has bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia. This presence was the backbone of American power in West Asia. It was supposed to be a deterrent, a warning to any adversary: do not even try to disrupt the peace in Gulf. Then, on 20th February 2026, the US and the Israel launched coordinated strikes on Iran. The operation was named Epic Fury. They targeted military sites, government buildings, nuclear facilities, and they assassinated several top Iranian officials, including their supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Now, here's the critical context. These strikes were launched while Iran and US were in the middle of diplomatic negotiations over the Iranian nuclear program, and the US and Israel launched war. There was retaliation which was expected, but US never anticipated the extent of retaliation from Iran. Iranians named their response as Operation True Promise 4, and Tehran did something which US did not fully anticipate. It didn't fire just symbolic missiles and back down like the way they used to do in the past. This time, they launched thousands of drones and missiles across the Gulf, targeting American bases, American radars, their aircraft, even American soldiers across multiple locations in the Gulf region. They choked the entire Strait of Hormuz, and the result shocked the world. Let me give you some facts. In just the first 48 hours of Iranian retaliation, at least 9 military sites were struck across Bahrain, Kuwait, Iraq, UAE, and Qatar. By the time the dust settled, almost after 40 days, there were reports which indicated 16 US installations had been hit in total. What was destroyed? Runways were damaged, aircraft hangars were hit, command headquarters were stuck, high-end radar systems were destroyed, warehouses were gone. Now here's the most important moments that sent shockwaves through the Pentagon. At Camp Buehring in Kuwait, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet, apparently a relatively old aircraft, it penetrated America's Patriot air defense system and bombed the base directly. Think about what it means. The US had spent hundreds of billions of dollars building air defense architecture in the Gulf region, and reports suggest that Iranian F-5 flew through it. It was the first time an enemy fixed-wing aircraft had successfully struck an American ally in years. The deadliest attack came later at port of Shauba in Kuwait, where an Iranian drone struck a tactical operations center, killing 6 army soldiers. Reports suggest that more than 60 were wounded, many with traumatic brain injuries, shrapnel wounds, and several burns. These are not abstract statistics. These are American soldiers killed on their own base where they were told they were safe. Now let's talk about the costs that the Americans are facing because of this conflict in the Gulf, which the Americans themselves did not want. And here's where it gets explosive, because there are no actual numbers coming up. The official figure is about $25 billion, and the US Pentagon is asking for $200 billion funding further. The numbers that we get are from media reports which suggest the cost of the war till today up to the tune of $50 billion, a loss to the Americans. In April 2026, the Pentagon's acting comptroller, Jules Hurst, appeared before the US Armed Services Committee. He told the Congress that Operation Epic Fury, the American military campaign, had cost approximately $25 billion. Let me repeat, $25 billion. That's the official number. But many members of Congress were immediately skeptical of these numbers. Several media outlets like CBS News, CNN, and other outlets have estimated the actual cost of the war to be about $50 billion. So what's not there in the Pentagon's public number? The cost of repairing the destroyed bases, the cost of replacing equipment. 24 MQ-9 Reaper drones worth $30 million were destroyed by the Iranians. And there were also losses of fighter jets, helicopters, and other tankers. Above it, the Pentagon has asked Congress for over $200 billion in additional military funding. So friends, this is a war the American public was never fully told about, and the Congress is now asking why we are learning the real numbers from media outlets like CNN and not from our own government. The most consequential question out of this particular conflict is whether US is a reliable partner for the Gulf countries going forward. And if we read between the lines of the communication that is coming from the Gulf officials, they are deeply uncomfortable with the US and their presence in the Gulf. US is no more a reliable partner for them. The real problem is here. The Gulf states like Saudi, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, they hosted US bases because those bases were supposed to protect them. That was the deal with the Americans. American military presence in exchange for security guarantees. But this conflict exposed these security guarantees. When Iran fired thousands of missiles and drones into the Gulf, those US bases did not protect the host nations. In fact, they were made targets because of these bases themselves. Today, the question is being asked in Riyadh, in Abu Dhabi, in Doha, are US bases still a net benefit to the Gulf security if American munition stockpiles are shallow and their air defenses cannot stop the missiles from Iran? According to Soufan Center, a leading security analysis group, Gulf states will now demand more from Washington in future. There is going to be more consultation. There is going to be more clarity with respect to security commitments and even economic risk sharing. This is not a small thing. This is a tectonic shift in the Gulf security architecture that has existed since 1951. Now, the biggest question out of this particular discussion is, has Iran dented the superpower status of the Americans? And the answer for this is not a simple yes or no. If you ask a question, has Iran defeated United States of America? The answer would be no. But has it dented the supremacy of United States of America from military standpoint? Yes. Are there questions being raised about the credibility of US as a partner in the Gulf? Yes. Let's do a fair analysis. Iran did not beat the United States of America outrightly. The US launched Operation Epic Fury and it inflicted devastating damage on Iran. Thousands were killed. It sank Iran's largest naval ship. It degraded Iran's air defense system and it even killed Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei along with several other IRGC leaders. Yes, a ceasefire did come in April 1st week, which was brokered by Pakistan, but largely on the terms that American military superiority in the offensive was shown. On the other hand, if we look at the Iranian response, America's Patriot and THAAD systems were overwhelmed by Iran's saturation tactics. Thousands of simultaneous drones and missiles attacking multiple locations in the Gulf region. The assumption that American installations in Gulf are functionally immune from any retaliation, that assumption is now almost dead. So we can say Iran did not defeat the United States of America, but Iran did shatter the myth that US is untouchable. And in geopolitics, perception is power. When allies see American bases can be stuck, American soldiers can be killed, and that American air defenses can be breached, they begin to recalculate. And everybody is watching. Moscow is watching, Beijing is watching, Islamabad and New Delhi are also watching these developments. Let's discuss a little about India's angle here. India has tried to preserve its strategic autonomy and continued discounted oil purchases from Russia. It has kept channels open with Iran. It has deepened defense and technology ties with the United States of America and its partners. And the Iran war has stressed this balancing act in three ways. First, it complicates our relationship with Washington if domestic debate in US turns more hawkish on countries that are seen benefiting from cheaper oil and not aligning fully with US sanctions. The second issue is it raises question about our own exposure to the conflicts that we cannot control. Given the large share of our seaborne trade which passes through many of the choking points like Strait of Hormuz, which was shut down by the Iranians first and later on now by the US, it puts India's energy security at risk. And third, it creates new opening and risks in our immediate region. From Pakistan's diplomatic role in brokering a ceasefire to China's efforts to present itself as a reliable economic partner to the Gulf countries, it puts India in a very precarious situation. So let me bring this all together. Iran stuck 16 military installations of US in the Gulf. US not admitting the tune of the losses that it has incurred. Some media reports highlight that it is up to the tune of $50 billion. Has Iran been victorious in this war? The answer would be no. But has Iran dented the military supremacy of United States of America? The answer is absolutely yes. We are not saying that US is not strong militarily. US today is the strongest military, yes. But power is not just about capability, but it's about capability in action. It's about credibility. And once the credibility is destroyed, it takes a lot of time to rebuild. So what can we say? The Gulf will never remain the same after what happened on 28th February 2026, and so will the world order. That is what this story is all about.